Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, so oral arguments began in the Presidents Are Not Kings trial in the D.C. Court of Appeals. And by the look of things didn't go swimmingly well for Donald Trump and his legal team. I got an article here from Yahoo. It's fairly long. But basically, they pointed out it's paradoxical to say that the president's constitutional duty is to take care of the laws and the laws be faithfully executed, that then allows him to violate those same criminal laws. Amongst other things. I guess they also got Trump's lawyer to concede that there is no absolute immunity for presidents. And when he tried to double speak his way around that, they even used his own arguments against him in future hypotheticals, as it were. This is just a show. Trump's lawyer during his rebuttal, he's saying that he ended it by saying Trump's leading in every poll, and Trump was saying the same thing as well. Like that matters. It doesn't matter in a court of law. The judges were going through a wide scope of things that could happen. They felt that the panel seemed to agree that Trump's sweeping claims of immunity went too far. They're a little bit split on how broad or narrow their eventual decision should be. One judge suggested the court may require the Supreme Court president to avoid ruling on immunity case for now, because criminal defendants can't typically appeal issues in their case until after the trial. In this case, the D.C. court just could dismiss Trump's appeal and allow the trial to proceed. At another point, they also talked about rejecting Trump's broad immunity argument on the merits, and then wondered if they should issue a blanket statement simply rejecting the notion that a former president enjoys any immunity from criminal prosecution. And then they wondered if they should send the matter back to Judge Chutkan, having her determine which of the charges and acts cites an indictment against Trump that are plausibly related to his official duties, and maybe they would rule on those specifics. So there's a whole gamut of judges being judges. This is kind of one of the reasons why some of you are really upset with Merrick Garland, because he acts like a judge and not an attorney general. And you get into these ponderings. But let's look at the energy of the oral arguments today, and we'll look at some plausible outcomes. Okay, come on down. Let's see what we got. They're going to make their decision fast. The decision's going to be fast. It's going to be broadcast. We won't have to wait long for their decision. I don't know when the decision is. I don't know if today's the only day they heard arguments. It might be. But they're going to come to their conclusion fast. Yeah, they're going to come to their conclusion. And they're going to make their judgment very quickly. It might be just that blanket immunity that, like that Jack Smith is looking for, that presidents are not immune to criminal prosecution. And end it. Underneath it all, all these arguments and counterpoints are being brought up. They're going to work through all the various things, and I just read to you a few of them. They're going to work through those things, and it looks like they're going to work through it really quickly and come to their judgment. Pretty much in this case, it's to hear all these different arguments and contemplations, but they're going to rule quickly. In the past, we had the star card. Okay, this is one of the big issues that the District Court of Appeals has to look at. Are presidents kings? Are they above everything else? With the insurrection, are they immune to criminal prosecution? It impacts Judge Chutkan's case on the January 6th insurrection. This whole case leading up to it is the president a star? Is he God? Is he above prosecution? Is he a king? Current situation, Queen of Swords. They didn't mince words. They didn't mince arguments. They cut down a lot of his key arguments right away, and now all they're contemplating pretty much are the nuanced arguments involving this case. Overarching energy, I think they're looking at different solutions. This could be solutions that, neither side likes, but it's definitely going to be solutions that Donald Trump does not like. So they'll come up with multiple solutions, and they just have to figure out which is either the best solution or the least distasteful solution out of this. The lesson to be learned from all of this is Donald Trump did this to himself. Donald Trump did this to himself. He did not give over the transfer power peacefully. He raised an insurrection, and all these decisions, all these court cases are his own fault. And, again, the lesson to be learned about the devil. Are the devils immune from prosecution? I don't think so. Interesting that I've got it opposite the star card here. This case isn't going to go well for Donald Trump. It just isn't. What's the outcome? Ooh, 5 of Swords. Winner takes all. I think they're just going to... I think in the end of the day, they're going to say no blanket immunity, period, done with it. And that was one of the options over here. The judges also wonder whether they should just issue a blanket decision simply rejecting the notion that former presidents enjoy any immunity from criminal prosecution, an outcome favored by Smith and his team. And then there was a narrow ruling focused on the specifics. I think in this case, they're going to say, nope, done and done. We're done. This is it. Done. Now, does that go to the Supreme Court? There's a great question. But I think this court's basically going to say, no, you're done and dusted. Which, it's the most straightforward, easiest answer. I imagine they can get to it really quickly. Because, again, with that 8 of Wands type of energy at the signifying position, they come to their decision quickly. Now, if they were going to... One of the things I was concerned about is that maybe they would go for a narrower ruling focused on the specifics of Smith's charges against Trump that could plausibly be within his realm of criminal immunity or something along those lines. That would not be fast. That would be slow. So that would be that 8 of Wands, but low energy as opposed to the high energy. It would be a slow decision. And because it would kick it back to Judge Chutkan, and then she would have to review the case again and come up with the specifics. And then it's going to go back to the Court of Appeals. And then they'll rule on those specific things. That's not the vibe I'm getting here. The vibe I'm getting is they're going to make their judgment. They're going to do it fast. And it's winner takes all. And in this case, the winner's going to be Jack Smith. Because Donald Trump wins this case, Joe Biden wins. We don't even have to have the 2024 elections. Biden is automatically president for life. And he can have Trump arrested and summarily prosecuted on Fifth Avenue and probably create his own poll so that his polling numbers don't go down. And maybe while he's at it, he can summarily execute a bunch of other horrible people in this world because, he's the president and he's a king and he's above criminal prosecution. I'm sure MAGA would not like that. I'm sure Americans would not like that. But there you go. Will this get appealed? Will the Supreme Court hear this on appeal? Because obviously anything that this court decides that doesn't fit, anything this court decides is going to be appealed to the Supreme Court. The question is, will the Supreme Court hear it? So let's take a look at that. Little 4-card. Will the Supreme Court hear an appeal? Page of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles. They may take it up. It's going to go to them. They could diminish it. You have a knight going to a page. It could be diminished on it's like, they have to keep control of things. They're worried about people's emotions on these trials and maintaining control over the emotions or over the health of the country. Yeah, I think they would take it, because I think that they're going to look at it as like they have to give a ruling on this one to complete it. There's a little bit of a vibe that there's some compromise that they might suggest or something like that. Kind of like the go back to Judge Chutkan and see if there's any narrowing that they could do. Both of these cards would indicate that to me. But I think if they only had to rule on the appeal, on the decision of the circuit court, they would take it, and I think they're going to keep it. Or it looks like they would take it. This doesn't show me how they would rule on it. It shows me that I think they would take it because they're looking at the anxiety level of people in the United States, and they may feel the need to weigh in on it. I mean, one of the options, they could just say, nope, we're not ruling on it. And that's where the Knight of Pentacles bringing this case to them gets returned as a page. But I suspect that they would actually listen to it. And I'll throw a quickly on that one. If the Supreme Court got this case, let's say that Trump was denied absolute immunity, would they overturn it? Two of Wands, planning, bringing things to a conclusion. There's that 4, trying to keep things under control, under wraps. King of Cups, Strength card. I think they would rule. I think they would keep they would keep the appeals court in place, the ruling in place. It's showing strength of the court and unification of the two courts, the appeals court and the Supreme Court. They're keeping things, nice and tight, keeping things the way they were. There's no reason in creating kings. We're going to keep things the way they are. It's going to bring this case to an end, and it basically is going to say, that presidents are not kings. Yeah, if the Supreme Court does take this case, they're going to uphold it. And that's not a surprise to anyone. That's not the one we're concerned about with cases going to the Supreme Court. We're more interested in that 14th Amendment Section 3 case going to the Supreme Court. That's the one that's going to be controversial, shall we say, on many fronts. Okay, so what's going to happen? If I'm reading the cards correctly and my intuition's correct, the appeals court is going to rule quickly. They're going to rule against Donald Trump, and I think it's going to be a blanket ruling against presidential criminal immunity. They're saying there is none. That looks like it would be appealed to the Supreme Court. It looks likely that Supreme Court would take that case on simply because they want to weigh in on the matter and reduce any further confusion, or basically reduce anger, because I'm sure the far right, and the news medias on the right that aren't really reporting news but are reporting opinions will fan the flames of injustice, and then they'll want it to go to the Supreme Court where we have all those conservative justices, and they'll agree with the appeals court and then put that thing to bed. Okay? All right, so that's my reading on Trump and his appeals and all that stuff. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.